You will not believe who just called for Donald Trump to be removed from office after his insane post saying
If you had told me a year ago that in April of 2026, Marjorie Taylor Greene would be calling for Trump to be removed from office because he's an insane person, I would have thought you were insane.
I know you've seen this atrocity by now, but let's talk about it. That fool posted, Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day, all wrapped up in one in Iran.
Existential threat. How do we 25th Amendment his ass?
Democrats in Congress have begun a formal push for the removal of Donald Trump after a weekend of erratic and violent threats against Iran.
A president with excessive nuclear capabilities at his disposal should not be talking about causing the end of a civilization.
Please, J.D. Vance, if you want to go down in history as a fucking hero, you'll invoke the 25th Amendment today before he kills us all.
Donald Trump is saying a whole civilization will become unalive tonight. Marjorie Taylor Greene is now the latest to call on the 25th Amendment to be invoked by J.D. Vance and President Trump's cabinet.
You will not believe who just called for Donald Trump to be removed from office after his insane post saying a whole civilization will die tonight. No, it wasn't a Democrat. It was former Trump ally Marjorie Taylor Greene. She called for the 25th Amendment saying not a single bomb is dropped on America. We cannot kill an entire civilization. This is evil and madness. Can we just get rid of the maniac already?
I know you've seen this atrocity by now, but let's talk about it. That fool posted, Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. President Donald J. Trump. The President of the United States gets on his platform and talks like that. Cussing, threatening, talking reckless, like he's in a bar fight instead of sitting in the highest office on the planet. What are we doing right now? This isn't telling it like it is. This isn't being real. This is a complete lack of discipline, a complete lack of respect for the office, and it shows a serious failure of leadership. You mean to tell me you're the president and that's the best way you can communicate? You don't have the vocabulary. You don't have the restraint. You don't have the basic professionalism. We expect more out of managers at a retail job, but the president gets a pass? Absolutely not, because this isn't normal. And the fact that people are trying to make it normal, that's the dangerous part. At some point, you've got to ask, where is the line? When does it go from that's just how he talks to this is completely unacceptable? And let's talk about the part nobody wants to talk about out loud. If any other president, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Bill Clinton, George Bush, had said something even close to this, it would be 24/7 outrage, emergency hearings, wall-to-wall coverage. Unfit for office would be trending before the posts even finished loading. But now, silence, shrugs, excuses. Oh, that's just him. No, it's not just him. It's the president. And that standard is supposed to mean something. Where's Congress? Where are the people whose job is to check this behavior? Because if this doesn't qualify as something worth speaking up about, then what does? And don't get it twisted. This isn't about politics at this point. This is about basic decency. This is about the image of the United States on the world stage. This is about whether the most powerful office on earth still carries any level of dignity. Because right now, it looks like it doesn't. And to the people defending this, laughing it off, cheering it on, you don't get to talk about respect. You don't get to talk about values. You don't get to clutch your pearls about how other people speak. Not anymore. Because this is what you're co-signing. This is what you're normalizing. And one day, when history looks back on moments like this, it's not just going to be about what he said. It's going to be about the people who heard it and decided it was okay.
Existential threat. How do we 25th Amendment his ass?
The problem is to get the 25th Amendment, it's harder than impeachment. You have to get 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate.
So what do we do?
Tackle Trump and pretend, let him pretend he's president and publicly report that he's going through a health issue and Vance take over. It literally needs to be something like that. It's that bad.
I've known you a long time. You've never called for an internal coup before.
Ever. But that's how dangerous this is. That's how risky it is for the whole world.
Yeah, if I was the Democrats, I'd stop poking Trump and messing with him. That only makes it worse. Like, you guys need to watch out. This isn't a guy acting like he's crazy. This is real.
Well, what's there going to be to take over in 2026 or 2028 if this hits the fan? If we get into he's threatening an extinction level event for the people of Iran tomorrow. Does nobody think there'll be any blowback from that? If he follows through on that, the whole world is screwed.
You were saying during the break, there's other ways to do this. People need to not just tell him the truth, like Susie Walsh said. It's time to just not. I mean, say what you just said.
Yeah, well, legally and constitutionally, the vice president is an independent elected official. The same as legally and constitutionally, the only oath any member of the military takes, any member of the State Department takes, any member of the intelligence community takes.
Democrats in Congress have begun a formal push for the removal of Donald Trump after a weekend of erratic and violent threats against Iran. I'm Major League, and this is news you need to know. The likelihood of Trump being impeached for a third time has dramatically increased following a series of volatile posts on Truth Social. Over the weekend, Jeffrey Epstein's best friend threatened to destroy Iranian power plants and bridges. He even added "Praise be to Allah" at the end to leave no doubt that we are living in the craziest timeline. Almost immediately after his post, there were lawmakers both privately and publicly signaling that it's time for Trump to be formally removed from office. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy reacted to this batshit crazy post saying, "If I were in Trump's cabinet, I would spend Easter calling constitutional lawyers about the 25th Amendment. This is completely and utterly unhinged. He already killed thousands, and he's going to kill thousands more." Representative Yasmin Ansari followed Murphy's lead, saying the 25th Amendment exists for a reason. The President of the United States is a deranged lunatic and a national security threat to the country and the rest of the world. This effort to remove the president is gaining momentum across social media as well, as the 25th Amendment became a trending topic on Threads. It's way past time we shifted the political focus from policy debates to the president's immediate capacity to serve. This president is unstable, and this puts the whole world in danger.
If the United States Congress has any life left in it, every member of Congress and senator must be calling for Trump's removal today based on the 25th Amendment. He is threatening the entire destruction of a civilization. He is calling Iranians animals. He is showing a total disregard for the humanity of people in Iran, in Gaza, in Cuba. This is a moral crime. It is a war crime. We need to be demanding that Congress convene today, and we need to be invoking the 25th Amendment.
A president with excessive nuclear capabilities at his disposal should not be talking about causing the end of a civilization. Especially a president who is known for his extreme rhetoric, who is known for implementing fascism in his own country, and who is known for bombing Iran for no reason other than he feels like to play toy soldier. Well, I've been feeling like this for a while, and now with this post, it seems pretty eminent that Donald Trump is going to use some form of nuclear weapon in Iran. Get ready for the world to end, basically.
Well, never thought Flair would have to put out a video like this, but please, JD Vance, if you want to go down in history as a fucking hero, you'll invoke the 25th Amendment today before he kills us all.
If you had told me a year ago that in April of 2026, Marjorie Taylor Greene would be calling for Trump to be removed from office because he's an insane person, I would have thought you were insane. But here we are, and Trump is announcing that he wants to end a civilization tonight, like a deranged mad king. Remember when Trump supporters thought that he was liberating the women of Iran and they were dancing in the streets and thanking him? What a joke. And on top of how insane all of this is, gas prices are not going back down for a long time. So we're hurting ourselves abroad and back at home. And at this point, every elected Democrat needs to join Marjorie Taylor Greene and calling for Trump to be removed from office. Plain and simple. The American people and people all over the world are tired of this insane, vindictive little boy running this country. And to all the conservatives who continue to coddle this fool, shame on all of you. You are not only a stain on American history, you are a stain on the history of the entire world. So I guess we wait until tonight to see just how mad the Mad King is. And I'm going to try my best to hope for the best, and that hopefully somebody will step in and stop him from doing this. All right, guys, love you very much. I'll be back tonight, and we'll talk soon. All right.
We are, as a nation and as a globe, watching in real time Donald Trump lose his grip on just about every single supporter that he has ever had that helped put him in power. Past supporters such as Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, and Alex Jones, among others, are calling for 25th Amendment and impeachment against Donald Trump, and for military to resist any unlawful orders.
I say, what is happening to the man that I supported, you supported, the man that denounced what happened in Iraq, the man that said no more foreign wars, no more regime change, promise it on the campaign. J.D. Vance promised it, Tulsi Gabbard promised it, all of them promised it, and we're a year in, and we're in another fucking war, and we've got American troops being killed. I think it's time for America to rip the Band-Aid off, and we need to have a serious conversation about what the fuck is happening to this country and who in the hell are these decisions being made for, and who is making these decisions.
Going to open the street making. It is the logic of escalation in this war, because in some sense, Mark Levin is right. We are not going to open the straits with the United States Marine Corps, the 82nd Airborne, or the Tier 1 operators that everyone in cable news seems to know so much about. The Tier 1 operators, Tier 1. Just guys, like some of the best guys actually in America could be killed in this. That's a better way to put it. Some real way to put it. They are not going to open the strait. And so unless somebody puts the brakes on right away, we're going to wind up in a place that we can't even imagine. Not just Iran, us and the rest of the world. And so that means, because this is obvious to anyone who's paying any attention, that if you work in the White House or in the U.S. military, now it's time to say no, absolutely not. And say directly to the president, no. In case you're thinking about using some weapon of mass destruction against the population of Iran, in whose name we liberated Iran, we killed their religious leader for their benefit. Do you remember that? This was last month. Those people who are in direct contact with the president need to say, no, I'll resign. I'll do whatever I can do legally to stop this, because this is insane. And if you give me an order, I'm not carrying it out. Figure out the codes on the football yourself, because everything hangs in the balance right now. This is not his.
Who else? What other kind of person could say something like this? And it would be bad enough if you were a Fox News talk show host. You expect this kind of thing from Mark Levin. You expect this kind of thing from Laura Loomer. These people have darkened minds and darkened souls. And they are shock jocks, and their business is to offend the conscience of everybody to get attention, because their message is repugnant and nobody would support it otherwise, and nobody would even pay attention to it otherwise. But this is the president of the United States. This is the head of the country on the holiest day of the year, threatening to bomb Iran. Open up the strait, fucking bastards. Praise be to Allah, President Trump. Who writes something like this? What kind of human being writes something like this? I don't understand how anybody could still be making excuses, because this goes above and beyond. I used to think 10 years ago that when Trump would fight back against the media, this is one of the things that we used to love about Trump. What did we used to say? That he was brash, that he was rough around the edges, he's direct, he talks how we talk, he says what we're thinking, he's not politically correct. Remember that? That used to be a part of the appeal. Actually, that used to be central to his appeal. People used to say that that was an indicator of his authenticity, his honesty, his groundedness. He's not like the other politicians. He's not about the bullshit. And so 10 years ago, I used to think that was funny. I used to think it was cool. I used to think it was refreshing. And the reason is because it seemed that all of the civility and the formalities and everything like that, it seemed like all of that, we were going through the motions, and underlying it was a lot of propaganda and lies. So at a certain point, people said, let's just dispense with all of these pointless rituals. Let's dispense with all of the pomp and the formalities. Let's dispense with all of this politically correct language, and let's just be direct and honest about what's happening in our country. And maybe there's something to be said about that. But we have come all the way around over the course of 10 years. And now, is there no decorum? Is nothing sacred? Is there ever a time to be respectful of anyone or anything? How about respectful of the U.S. population? How about the fact that you're the U.S. president for children and families and for a nation of Christians to talk like that at all? How about respectful of the fact that it's a holiday, that it's Easter, respectful of God? There's a time and a place for everything. That you could argue there's a time when we can say a swear word and there's a time when we can be funny or flippant. But here's a few areas when that's not a good idea. When you're at war and it concerns the lives and deaths of U.S. soldiers and civilians. Here's another time when that's not appropriate, on Easter. The one day of the year when we commemorate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So, actually, it's every Sunday, but Easter is the actual historical date when it happens. Those are a couple of situations when actually we want a president to be presidential. That's actually when we want the president to be respectful and to show a little bit of decorum and civility. And if you can't put that together at a time like this, what kind of leader are you? Better yet, what kind of man are you? And so I've been saying this for a long time. I'm over it. And I'm not just over the policies. I'm not just over the administrative aspect of it is not what we were promised or it's not optimal. I mean, I'm over all of it. I'm actually sick to my stomach of all of it. I really don't like this person anymore. I don't want to look at him. I don't want to hear him. I just feel sick to my stomach every time I see this human being on the TV. And it never used to be this way.
Existential threat. How do we 25th Amendment his ass?
The problem is to get the 25th Amendment is harder than impeachment. You have to get 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of...
Donald Trump is saying a whole civilization will become unalive tonight. Marjorie Taylor Greene is now the latest to call on the 25th Amendment to be invoked by J.D. Vance and President Trump's cabinet. What? Yes, Marjorie Taylor Greene is now calling for the 25th Amendment to be invoked to remove Donald Trump as President of the United States. As Donald Trump is now, after his Easter rant, Donald Trump is now calling for an entire civilization to be unalive tonight. This sounds like somebody from the 1930s and the 1940s in Germany that tried to do the same thing. Donald Trump has now basically said that Iran doesn't open the Straits of Hormuz and basically bow down to the United States in so many words, that he will unleash hell, a rain of hell on them, that he will wipe out their power plants, he will wipe out their bridges, their infrastructure. These would be war crimes. Donald Trump seems to think that he's untouchable because of the Supreme Court. He's going to find out otherwise. Basically, he says that men, women, children, civilians, and others, there's nobody that's off limits. Nothing is off limits in Iran. Iran has responded from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps that self-restraint is over. A response will be carried out without consideration, depriving the United States and its allies of oil for years. If the United States crosses the red line, if the U.S. Army, crosses the red line, our response will exceed the region's borders. To me, that's saying certainly targets outside the region are fair game if Donald Trump carries through with this. Also, there have been attacks on Karg Island already today. This is the latest that we have right now. Love to hear from my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, and the burned LA bulbs. What do you think? Should the J.D. Vance and the cabinet invoke the 25th Amendment to remove Donald Trump due to his abilities and his statements? What do you think? We're on TikTok. I have to be careful what I say. Love to hear from my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, and the burned LA bulbs. It certainly seems that there is a reason the 25th Amendment was created, and this may well be it. What do you think?
Breaking news, everybody. The American Conservative magazine is calling on J.D. Vance to invoke the 25th Amendment and not to run in 2028. End it now. That is the American Conservative saying this, a very conservative magazine. They want Trump out of office. They want the entire administration out of the office. This is their own people. This is Republicans coming out and saying, we've had enough. This is treason, and invoke the 25th, and I agree.
There's something seriously wrong with this man, and everyone needs to wake up. This is not okay. This is not normal. You should be freaking out. You should be calling your representative and demanding answers. This is not okay.
Time for the 25th Amendment after Donald Trump's latest rant on Truth Social, where he threatens Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the effing straight, you crazy betards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah, President Donald J. Trump. Clearly, J.D. Vance and Trump's cabinet, you all really need to be considering the 25th Amendment. You really, really do. What do you all think? I mean, this is not something a president should be posting, should be saying, and he wonders why he's getting the response he's getting with these threats. Iran does not respond to threats like this. They're not going to. They're not going to respond to Donald Trump, the bully. What do you all think? 25th Amendment is time. Love to hear from my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, and the burned out light bulbs. It's time this cabinet and J.D. Vance do one thing right.
Senator Chris Murphy is calling for invoking the 25th Amendment for Donald Trump. He stated, "If I were in Trump's cabinet, I would spend Easter calling constitutional lawyers about the 25th Amendment. This is completely, utterly unhinged. He's already killed thousands. He's going to kill thousands more." Now, if you've been living under a rock, you might be wondering, well, why the heck is he talking about doing this on Easter? Well, that's because this post is a reaction to the post on Donald Trump's Truth Social. That said, Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah, President Donald J. Trump. I do have my questions on whether this was actually posted by Donald Trump, but I'm going to say if it is, clearly, yes, it's unhinged. If it wasn't, why do we have a president who is allowing control of his Truth Social account to somebody else, and then that person is able to make threats such as this? So regardless of whether he is the actual author of this or not, I think it's still the point of it being utterly unhinged. And I'm glad that Senator Murphy, you have come out and you have said, please invoke the 25th Amendment. This is not the first time that you have done this either. I do recognize that, but I have a request of you, and I have a request of anyone else who is talking about this. I think we need to stop using the word unhinged. Please start using the word demented. Demented is not a diagnosis. Demented is not dementia. And even so, lowercase d, dementia, is not a diagnosis. That would be something like a specific type of dementia, like Alzheimer's dementia or frontotemporal dementia. So for anyone who is concerned about using the D word for Donald Trump, it's okay. You can use it. And I think we have to. The more and more that we get out, hey, Donald Trump has dementia, some form of dementia, some form of neurological decline. He is demented. That word has to be used. Please, anybody who is willing, start talking about Donald Trump and the D word, demented. You can also call him a dick, but that's on you. That's a personality trait. I'm talking about his cognitive and his mental ability to be the president of the United States. Chris Murphy, if you are trying to get the cabinet to talk about the 25th Amendment, that means that you do not believe that he is able to continue to serve, and you need to use the word demented. And as always, Donald Trump, he's gotta go.
Hi there, it's Bill, your friendly piece of legislation. I'm here to remind you about my good old friend, the U.S. Constitution. We go way back. My favorite part of the Constitution is this little thing called the 25th Amendment. Have you heard of it? No? That's okay. The 25th Amendment gives special powers to the Vice President, Cabinet, and Congress, which is the House and the Senate. Basically saying that if a president is unable to discharge the powers of president, you can remove him. And I can't think of a better time. A time in which the president doesn't know if he's talking about invading Greenland or Iceland. Yes, that happened. Or invading Venezuela. Or civil unrest all across the country. And I think when this amendment was written, they were thinking of times like this. So call your rep, get it done today, and Let's use what we have.
This message is for Congress. Please invoke the 25th Amendment.
If the 25th Amendment was written for anything, it was written for this.
The 25th Amendment should be used immediately.
It's not impeachment. It's called the 25th Amendment.
Okay, let's talk about the 25th Amendment, because this is quite the hot topic on social media, especially given Trump's Easter morning truth. So let's get into it. First and foremost, the 25th Amendment is not going to happen. The 25th Amendment is not going to save us, and let's talk about why. Let's start off with this. Congress has nothing to do with the 25th Amendment, at least not the invocation of the 25th Amendment. That power lies with the Vice President and a majority of the cabinet. They are the ones that have to invoke the 25th Amendment and initiate it. Congress has no say in it. So let's go over real quick what the process of the 25th Amendment would look like if it were to happen. It's not going to. The Vice President and the majority of the cabinet would sign a declaration and send it to the Senate pro tem and the Speaker of the House, saying that they are invoking the 25th Amendment because the President of the United States is unable to discharge the duties of the office. And, according to the Constitution, as soon as that declaration is made, the Vice President becomes the acting president. However, in order for the president to reassume his or her duties as president, all they would have to do is send over a declaration to the Senate pro tem and the Speaker of the House claiming, "No, I'm fine, I can discharge the duties of the office." Then the vice president and the majority of the cabinet would have to redeclare that no, the president is not, and then, and only then, does Congress have a say. When Congress does get their say in the process, they must vote by a 2/3 majority in both chambers to keep the president out of the office. That's right, 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate must vote to keep the president out of the office. That means the 25th Amendment would be considerably more difficult than the normal impeachment process. A regular impeachment process only requires a simple majority vote in the House of Representatives to impeach a president. Then the Senate must vote by a 2/3 majority to convict and remove the president from office, but the 25th Amendment requires a 2/3 majority from both chambers. Impeachment only requires it from the Senate. So, while I agree with the sentiment that Donald Trump should not be the President of the United States, that he is in fact unfit and most likely unable to discharge the duties of the office of the President, the 25th Amendment is not how we're going to get him out. The 25th Amendment is not going to save us. What is going to save us is us. We have to turn out in record numbers for the midterm elections. We take back the House, we take back the Senate, then we get to legislate, then we get to investigate on democratic terms.
Trump had the most joyous Easter message of any president in our nation's history, because he pretty much said, "Open the effing straight, you crazy B-word, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise to be Allah." If any other president, especially a Democrat president, put out a message like that, it would be nonstop breaking news on right-wing media like Fox News. But because Trump said this, there's nothing, hardly anything in the news cycle. Because all the media is being bought up by these right-wing billionaires, right? So now there's more and more proposals to use the 25th Amendment to get Trump out, which will absolutely never happen. You're never going to see the 25th Amendment thing work because Republicans control both sides of Congress right now. And even if Democrats take back the House after the midterms, they still won't have the 2/3 votes necessary in the Senate to remove a president. So it's not going to happen. So we're stuck with Trump and these crazy, idiotic social media statements he puts out. That's going to cause more people to get harmed or killed. Don't you love having a president like we have right now? Oh boy, we're in deep trouble, everybody.
Okay, so this just in from the White House. One question, why they are not backing Maria Machado, the Nobel Peace Prize winner from Venezuela. Remember, she's the opposition leadership and has been for many years to Maduro, right? She has not been endorsed by the Trump administration. Everyone's wondering why. Now we know why. The White House has basically come out and said, nope, she should have refused the Nobel Peace Prize, which rightfully belonged to President Trump, and said that it was his. And if she'd done that, she'd be the president of Venezuela right now. This guy is a fucking malignant narcissist, man. He is a psycho. He's going to destroy America if you people don't stop him. He has now already talked about how successful it was invading Venezuela against the fucking United States Constitution and all international law. Okay? He invades them, kills 80 people now, the death toll's at 80, kidnaps the president and his wife, parades them through the streets of New York City. This is just fucking ridiculous. And now he said he's going to attack Cuba, Colombia, Canada, Greenland, Iran. Holy shit, the list goes on. This guy is a fucking psycho, and he's going to drag America into World War III. You have to stop him. Go out and stop him.
A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. A bunch of other bullshit, and then who knows? Who knows? A whole civilization could die, but who knows? Oh, and ultimately, God bless the great people of Iran that I'm threatening to murder right now. I'm not an oh my God, can you believe what Donald Trump just said kind of guy, but oh my God, can you believe what Donald Trump just said? That is not a negotiation tactic. It is a threat of extermination. I don't know. I just don't know. I want to say more things because there's so many things that need to be said, but I got no more things. It's the president. The president is saying this. He is typing this out in his phone and pressing it, and off into the world it goes. A threat of wiping out a civilization. Someone has to do the 25th Amendment. We got to press the 25th Amendment button because it's too much.
Congresswoman Yasmin Ansari is the latest congressperson to come out and say that they need to invoke the 25th Amendment against President Donald Trump. And she says, quote, "The President of the United States is a deranged lunatic and a national security threat to our country and the rest of the world." She's absolutely correct on this. Now, I know what a lot of people saying, why they can't impeach him, because the Democrats do not have the numbers. In order to impeach the president in the House of Representatives, you need 51%. And then in the Senate, you need 2/3, which is like 67 out of 100. And the Democrats do not have those numbers. And they have to be a mega blue wave in the midterms in order to have those numbers. To prevent nuclear annihilation, the 25th Amendment is our best bet at this point.
Go get some rice and beans, because if this happens, it'll change the world forever tonight. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. Remember that this whole situation was so trannies could read school books to little kids, to liberate women to not have to wear a hairscarf.
But it's the fact that I have come here, I have been welcomed, and nobody has said a single thing to me about my hair being uncovered. And that, for you, my friends, is the reality of news when it's brought to you live from the country, especially when you have been propagandized for a long time by Western media.
The 25th Amendment exists so we can take insane people out of office, but they're not going to impeach him because they're all owned by the same people that own him.